Hey friends, today we're diving into something that's invisibly woven into our daily lives, electromagnetic frequencies, or EMFs. You know, the stuff behind our beloved Wi-Fi and gadgets? Our guest, Amy McGraw, has some eye-opening experiences with EMFs that she swears changed her life. It's a chat filled with revelation and tips on how you might want to manage your own exposure. So let's get grounded and tune into her electrifying story. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to the Kingdom Visionaries show. Today, I have a very special guest, Amy McGraw, and she is going to be talking to us about something very important, something that I think many of us kind of may detect might be a situation that's going on in our lives, or why we may be having some of the issues that we're having inside our bodies, but may not really know. So this is a wonderful, wonderful thing that we're going to be talking about today. I'm so happy that Amy is here. I'm going to let her tell a little bit about herself to us right now. And Amy's an amazing woman, so I'll let her let us know more about her right now, and we'll just go from there. Go ahead, Amy, take it away.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, Nicole. Your podcast is going to be doing wonderful things. I'm really, really excited to be one of the first few people to be on it. So my name is Amy, and the really, really weird thing that we're talking about is our EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies. Basically, the frequencies, the vibrations, everything that comes out of anything electronic, your cell phone, your computer, your laptop, your blow dryer. I straightened my hair this morning. That gives off EMFs. Everything electronic gives off a certain level of EMFs, and those EMFs can actually make you really sick. So within, let's say 6 months ago, it's been 6 months since I've kind of like healed myself. But prior to that, for 5 years, 5 very, very long years, I slowly was losing the use of my muscles. My muscles were just completely deteriorating. They were becoming very, very weak. I felt like I was on fire. I felt like I was being electrocuted. I had to start walking with a cane. We were thinking that I'd be in a wheelchair by the time I turned 40. Which was 2 days ago, and I'm not. So it's really exciting. I know I was not planning on that. Like, we were really, really thinking that it was just going to get worse, because it was, and nobody knew it was wrong. Every doctor that I went to was just this medical mystery. They had no clue what was wrong. You know, we were kind of looking into MS, but they didn't. You know, it was just kind of like, you might have MS. Do you think you have MS? Like, it was like that. They were no help. The doctors were no help. But yeah, and then through a series of events, discovered that it's actually my electronic devices that were making me so sick. And from that, I have learned kind of how to like detox and things to do to help keep us safe, because everybody's being affected by EMFs. Like, we're electrical human beings. It's an electrical device. It's kind of like when you're talking on a microphone and you get really close to the speaker and you hear that really loud, that interference. That's kind of what happens. That's what happens when two electronics are too close to each other, like their frequencies are interfering with each other, right? So we as human beings, whenever we get close to another electronic device, then we have that interference, and it just kind of builds up, and it expresses itself differently to everyone. So I had those symptoms. Someone else that I know, she feels her brain like vibrating in her head. She also feels like a vibration in her feet. You can have like tingling, even just like your fingertips can tingle from being on the phone. Digestive issues, skin rashes, anxiety, even if you sweat a lot, if you have an issue like sweating, a lot of symptoms, we're finding out that a lot of ailments are actually like caused by your electronic devices. If not caused by it, it definitely plays a part in like making it worse.
Right. So let me do this
Yeah.
though. Let me stop you real quick, because
Uh-huh.
there's some really great nuggets that you said that I don't necessarily want to skip over, because I think they are so important.
Okay.
One is your that to dig a little more into your story because I mean, wow, okay, 5 years walking with a cane. I mean, come on now, we gotta we can't
Yeah.
just skim over that. I mean, like that is
Yeah, right. I
below
know.
6 months ago. And what I know about you, Amy, is that walking to a cane, you were on your way to a wheelchair, correct?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and which is so this is amazing that you're standing here before us now, right? No
Yeah.
cane, moving around,
Yeah.
doing what you need to
Yeah. I
do.
know.
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So 5 years ago, I went back to school after being out of school for 10 years. I decided to go back to get my degree. And so I'm on my laptop computer the whole time, I'm in this new environment filled with Wi-Fi. And also at that time, I went on a weight loss journey. I lost 50 pounds. So I was always at the gym working out. I always had my wireless earbuds in. I would literally leave the gym if I didn't have my earbuds, go back and get them, and then go and have my workout. But then I started noticing all like this stuff that was wrong, and it started in my leg. So I always refer to it as my leg thing. And it started, my shins literally felt like they were going to explode. And I remember going to the doctor and telling her, like, my shins feel like they're going to explode. And she's like, can you come up with a better way to describe it? And I'm like, no, that's exactly what it feels like. Tell me what's wrong. And we couldn't figure it out. So then it morphed into my whole legs. It spread to my whole legs. They no longer felt like they were going to explode, but instead I just felt like I was on fire. Like I felt like it was Salem, I'm a witch, I'm being persecuted, like it was just bad all around. Like it was awful. Or like a little pig on a pitchfork, something like that. Or like at a barbecue, just roasted. And then I started getting these like electrical sensations, and they completely varied. It'd either be like a cattle prod. A lot of them were very painful. Some of
Oh,
them were just
wow.
kind of tickly. It was so random. I would have one sensation for like a month or 3 months, and then it would just disappear and I'd never have it again. But it was a lot of electrical sensations, electrical, fire, things like that. Then it just kind of started spreading upwards, to where like I had to stop wearing most clothes. Like I bought clothes that were 3 sizes too big and wore them very, very baggy, because anything touching my skin, I had to stop wearing bras, on
Wow.
panties, socks, most shoes. I had one pair of shoes that I walked around in. I had like 3X large pants that I took the elastic band out and put a string in, and would still have to hold them up because like the weight of it I couldn't wear straps, anything. I'd walk around in a bathrobe, and I couldn't even tie the bathrobe or it would set me off. And when
Wow.
it would set me off, I called it a soul sucking feeling, because that's how it's just I would go, oh,
Oh,
and it was just
wow.
like pain. And it reminds me of, have you ever seen Beauty and the Beast?
Yes. Hmm.
The Disney movie
Yes.
where they have the rose and they keep it in the jar. And at some point it's like dying and and it's just like crumbling. That's what it reminded me of. Like, it's just a soul sucking feeling. Like it sucked the life out of me, I was depressed. Of course, I have no idea what's wrong. So then it started spreading to my upper body. To where my arms, everything just got really, really heavy. Like I could barely lift my arms. Like it was just like such a thing to just do that. It would literally take me the entire day to unload the dishwasher,
Oh,
because I was in
wow.
so much pain, and I'd have to do like a couple of things at a time, a couple of things, and then go and lay down and breathe through it.
And this
And
went
then I
on
started
progressively for 5 years.
5 years, it just started
That
getting
is,
worse and worse and worse. So then I started getting really, really shaky and off balance. And I started like having to tinker off of the walls
mhm.
while I'm walking. So that's
So
when I
when
got,
so when did that start, Amy? Take me into that. How long into your journey did you
that
start to get
was towards the end of it. So maybe like 4 years, four and a half years.
4 years?
Well, I probably could have benefited from the cane earlier. I'm just very hard headed, and I didn't. So I would just hold
No,
on to
you're
stuff
a
and then
determined,
walk.
strong
But I
woman.
mean, I would walk like this.
Mhm,
Like this is what it looked like for
mhm,
me to walk, like with my little cane. Like I would look
mhm.
like a little old lady. Josh used to, when we moved to this house, my husband, he had to like hold me so that I could brush my teeth, because I'd be like this, shaking,
Oh,
brushing my teeth,
wow.
and I'd go to spit the toothpaste out, and I'm just like this, like try not to fall over. So I really got it just for like this, just support, like I'd stand there and hold it and it's just like hold me up. Otherwise I'm like, kind of weeble wobbling. And as it was spreading, it started spreading to my face and my head and my upper body and everything like that, to where if I would talk, like I get really emotional and I start talking really fast. If I'm crying, if I would chew my food, I had to chew my food so slow and take the tiniest bites, because even that, my muscles would start to like spasm and they would droop. And you could see this side was worse. So my eyes would just like do this and my face would do this, and it would like turn into, my shoulder would round out and my chest, you could see my chest muscle would get like sucked up into my
Mm,
shoulder. You could see it, like you could
wow,
watch it happening. Like in a movie, it looked
that's
like I was
intense.
morphing, and I'd be stuck like this and I'd have to kind of like breathe and try to massage it out and like wait. And it would eventually, once it calms down, like go away. But I had to be very, very careful with that. And that's when we started thinking, it's funny, this whole time it was bad. But when that started happening, we're like, oh,
Oh yeah, there's
really,
something. There's always a breaking
really
point.
just getting
Yeah,
worse.
it's like there's always a breaking point. But during that time, I mean, in your defense, I mean, you're going to doctors, you're doing what you think you need to do,
Yeah.
right? And when you're going through stuff like that, you're not necessarily in the best mindset. I mean, your world is
Yeah.
literally being rocked upside down. And when you go to the professionals that are supposed to know what should be wrong, and I know doctors help many people, but in your situation, it was just something it was out of their
Yeah.
scope of really understanding what was going on. So, okay, so let's fast forward. How did you get to this? I mean, like, what was that turning point? Was it did you go to a doctor that gave you some good advice? What happened?
No, it's the weirdest thing ever. Okay. So we used to live in an apartment on the third floor. And here's something ironic. My husband builds cell phone towers.
Mm,
So that's just super ironic that like that's what is making me sick. So he used to always joke with me, I'm going to tie you to a grounding rod and throw it outside the window and ground you like we could do the telephone poles. But it was just a joke because
yeah.
I was so electric. I would get shocked with the shopping cart, pushing the shopping cart. I'd get electrocuted and shocked constantly. Like I just had static
Mm,
electricity. So yeah, it was this joke that he would do that. So and I just never really took it seriously. He's just picking on me, whatever. Um, so
that's
then
what
we
we
moved here to
do
this
as
house.
spouses. I'm glad you have a marriage like that. Me and my husband we pick on each other all the time. Sometimes in public, people are like, "That was mean." I was like, "It was? I thought it was funny." But
Yeah. Yeah. You have to. We've been together 17 years. You
yeah,
have to.
yes, exactly.
um, so fast forward to we moved to this house. We now have a yard. We're cutting grass. We're doing yard work. I'm sitting in the yard while he's on, cleaning the gutters. And I'm earthing myself, which is when you just have skin to skin contact on the earth, the ground, sand, dirt, whatever. So I was just hanging out in my front yard and I was like, it made me feel good mentally. And while you're going through that, depression is like a huge thing. So it just put me in like this good mood. So I said, I'll start eating my lunch outside and I'll start earthing outside. Just kind of taking what he was saying with the grounding and the telephone poles. Well, then while I was outside, I ate lunch outside 3 times within the same week for just like 20, 30 minutes. Cause I'm one of these people where like I can't sit, I have to be doing.
Yeah.
So while I was doing that, I was kind of like researching earthing. And within that same week, all of a sudden, like that, I had this really, really, really intense trauma release. And then like everything went away. And I was like, what is going on? Like it was the most bizarre thing.
So
And
how
then
did you know? You said because you're calling it earthing. Is it that you just started going out into outside and then started researching that, or did you hear
yeah,
something about
no,
earthing and
I
said
mean,
maybe I'll go out?
I've heard of it, but I've never really done it. I've always been one of these people growing up. I had like really sensitive feet. So I never walked outside barefoot. I wouldn't even walk inside barefoot. I
Mm,
always had shoes on, always had socks on. I love my plants. So like I'll talk to my little plants, I'll
yeah.
talk to them inside, and you can ground yourself by touching your indoor plants. So
Okay.
that kind of might explain why everything was so like intermittent, because I would at least get that sort of interaction, from
Mm,
my little house plants. but not that like immersive grounding. So I really didn't start researching it until I started doing it. And then whenever I started doing, and I'm reading it and seeing like all of the different benefits, all of the different case studies of completely different things, you know, babies that have colic to people who have MS, to kids with autism, to people in wheelchairs, all of these different like things, and just going outside and being barefoot in the grass like helped on so many different levels, and you know, like your inflammation, just so many different things. So I was just really blown away by it, you know, especially like for me to have all of those pains and everything, and for it to literally, I mean, within the week, I was wearing clothes for the
Oh,
most part, normal
wow.
clothes. I
Oh,
was
praise
able
God.
to do a lot of things, and I still will get to that that place every now and then. Like I had a really bad episode this last weekend, because I was spending a whole lot of time preparing for my workshop coming up and things like that. So I still have to be very, very mindful of it. Um, but the episodes don't last nearly as long and they're not as frequent, you know, like this was the first one for like three months. Like I can time it based off of my computer usage and
Mhm.
things like that. But yeah, I was completely blown away. It was almost an immediate thing with that. And then it just started like the rabbit hole,
Oh,
you
going down
know.
it. So, okay, so when in a week's time you're feeling better, depression is lifting, you felt something come just totally break off of you,
Mhm.
and then I'm assuming
The
your
pain, the
stability
fire, all of
started to
that was
get
gone.
better. Your
Yeah.
stability. At what point could you completely walk again on your own, just normal like you are now?
It was then.
In that week,
Then.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that,
It was
Amy.
like that. It was so instant. It
Wow.
was so instant. I mean,
Oh,
I was
wow.
slow with with trying things, you know, like I was so, but it was that instant. I still kind of wore my baggy clothes for a little bit. Like I don't wear tight sports bras. I don't think I'll ever wear a tight bra. But yeah, it was so instantaneous. And I started putting it together that it was the EMFs because we went into IKEA, which is this great big giant metal frame building, and like you're supposed to write down the number of everything that you want and then you go to the end to check out. Well, instead of doing that, I was like, let's go grab our phone. Our phones, you know, were in the car. And when we were in IKEA, everything kind of started coming back, you know, like I started getting that soul sucking feeling, that kind of achiness, and I kind of expected it just because I've been dealing with it for so long. I was just like, oh, it's coming back again. I guess I didn't get rid of it, you know, like that
Mhm.
sort of a thing. Well, when we walked out of IKEA to go get my phone, it was like I had a blanket on and it was just pulled off of me. Like I could feel it pulling off of me from the building as I stepped out of it. And then I just started thinking of all of these moments when I'm driving in the truck with my husband and I had a really bad headache. And as soon as he turned his Bluetooth off, my headache went away. Or,
Wow.
you know, I'm on the phone and the phone would like go ring in my hand and I'd throw it because it would shock me so bad. And just piecing it together and going back in the timeline, like that's when I went back to school. That's when I was on the laptop constantly. That's when I had them earbuds stuck in my ears for, you know, hours a day. Like it just kind of, I just started unraveling the equation.
So now, do you know, like, are there statistics or anything like that that you know of that can kind of, because this is something when I heard about it with you, it just blew my mind. I had never heard of that before,
Yeah.
and but it also at the same time made a lot of sense.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
does.
and I thought, "Oh my gosh, who knows what we're dealing with?" And I think I was talking to you, I said, "'Cause I need to get rid of, a brain fog." So and you were talking
Yeah.
about it, yeah,
Brain fog
it
was
can cause
horrible.
it
Yeah.
can cause things like that as well. Um, so do you know, like, how many people are affected by this on a very severe
So
level?
from my last research, there's like 400 million people in the world out of, you
Mhm.
know, however many billion we have that are affected by it. But those are
Wow.
people with severe symptoms. One, that's a huge number. That's a
Mhm,
lot of people that are affected. But those are people who are affected with like severe, what's considered severe. It's called electromagnetic hypersensitivity.
mhm.
So those are people like me. But when you think about the fact that everybody's electric, everybody is being affected by it, everybody's being affected by it. So you are, my husband is, the cats are, your dog is, like everybody is, just
Mm-hmm.
period. Just start, you have to, there's actually someone that you can look up. Interviewed him from a summit. His name's Dr. Samuel Milham.
Mm-hmm.
And he spent over 50 years doing research on cancer clusters and things like that. And what he ended up discovering is that there is literally a direct correlation. Like it can map it and just watch it rise with the advent and the rise of electricity and the rise of cancer and diseases and things like that. And like how most of them were kind of clustered in big cities. Electricity first came out, it's in big cities, and that's where a lot
Yes.
of sickness was. And the rural areas were kind of safe, you know? And then as you move out and electricity kind of spread outward, now all of a sudden these rural populations are starting to get sick too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah.
So, okay, so with that said, what's the solution? And what's your advice to people who may even, because this is my thing, my thought, okay, may not be as severe as what you
Mhm.
went through. And I mean, you're an amazing woman to even come through that, and then to want to share that with people in the world is amazing. I love you for that, but I love you anyway, you know that. But I'm just this is really serious, because this is why I want my listeners to hear this. And I think this is one of those things that needs to be shouted from the rooftop, and then to have some solutions, because if nothing else, we know we're overloaded with too much stuff, with the cell
Yeah.
phones and the TVs and the electric cars, and just, I
Yeah.
mean, just everything that's out there, what do you call that stuff on your satellites? And I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot
Yeah.
going
Everything.
on, and um, just there's a building going up, every minute somewhere, right? And
I
there's
know.
new subdivisions going up. So then you got all those houses doing the same thing, and this is all being emitted into the atmosphere, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I love this as a part of the solution for us
Yeah.
being healthier, because the audience that I speak to are women who are ready to live out their purpose and
Yeah.
ready to really go out there and do what they were called to do in the world through
Yeah.
in the marketplace. So those people who
Yeah.
have those things that are in the marketplace. And the truth is, we can't do that if we're not healthy. We can't do
Right.
that if we have a bunch of brain fog, or at least not do it well.
Yeah.
It's like, and even to do that and then to come home and serve our families after we're, done doing what
Yeah.
we have to
I
do to
know.
serve the public, right? Um, so we're becoming more and more unhealthy in this in the world, and there's so much that we just don't know, and I feel like you've discovered something that people just need to know. We need to be shouting this
Yeah.
from the rooftop. So with that being said, I'm going to shut up and ask you, what are some what give me two things that people can do today to just help protect themselves from EMF.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say it's funny that you said shout it from the rooftop, because
Yeah.
I always told people whenever I find out what my leg thing is, I'm a shout it from the
Yeah.
rooftops because everyone needs to know. And then once I
Yes.
found out that it's the internet, like I'm allergic to the internet, I was like, are you serious? Everybody's on it. Um, So first, grounding or earthing. Everybody can go outside and do it. You can do it, like I said, with an indoor house plant. It's free. You don't have to pay for anything. It's literally the easiest thing ever. It does take some time, which can, if it's cold outside or raining, it's kind of a little bit frustrating, in my opinion. But it's also really easy and really relaxing too once you're out there. And like I said, dirt, grass, sand, water, like a lake, a pond, whatever, any of that are all excellent sources. And just research earthing. And then the second thing that I would suggest is to pay attention. It's all about awareness. Pay attention to, if it's nighttime and you have a really bad headache, how much time have you been spending on the computer?
Yeah.
Or just things like that. Like if your stomach's really upset and your digestive system just completely out of whack, like, is it what you ate? Is it that salad? Or is it that you've been spending so much time, you were streaming your favorite TV show or whatever, things like that. And then the third, something else, completely clear your bedroom of all electronics. No
Okay.
TV, stop charging your phone in your room. Stop doing that. Do not ever use your phone while it's on the charger. Don't do it.
Okay.
Like if you got to
Don't use
charge
your
it,
phone when it's
charge it.
on the charger.
Don't use your phone when it's on the charger. No.
Okay. Now,
Yeah.
why is
Charge it
that?
and
Just
then get
because
back on it.
it's boosting at that. Okay, I got you. I get that.
Yeah. I can't even touch my phone if it's on the charger. I have to like do it real quick because I can feel it. Like I
Okay.
can literally feel the stuff coming
Hmm.
out of it. So I got to be like really quick on it. Yeah.
This is good stuff. So I'm just so I again just so impressed with your discoveries and what you're doing now. Can you tell us a little bit about you're doing summits and doing some teaching for people, and they're called the Wi-Fi detox, right?
Yes.
Can you give us a little information about that and what that's all about?
Yeah, so the Wi-Fi detox is what I kind of came up with so that we can try to figure all of this out. Like I really want to, first of all of the symptoms of sensitivity, EMF sensitivity are so vague. They're so random. There's so many of them that it's kind of becoming like my goal, my mission to pool everybody together and figure it out. Like there is something going on with us. There is something
Mm,
that either a shot from whenever I was a baby or you know something in my diet or something that's not working right to where I'm sensitive. There is a common denominator to it and there's a way to figure it out. And so I'm kind of like pooling together all of these resources and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure
mm,
out how we can be safe, how we can live in this Wi-Fi world, because not only are we building more buildings and things like that, but the technology is growing. Like 5G just got rolled out. 5G stands for fifth generation.
mhm,
So there was the first generation, the second generation, LTEs, those were the third and fourth generation. So there's going to be a sixth generation. There's going to be a seventh generation. Like we're not getting rid of this. I'm not trying to
mhm,
go live in a cave somewhere where I'm
mhm.
away from it. Like I want to know how to live with it and how to live my life with it and not have this you have to use a cane or
Yeah.
have you know whatever your ailment is.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
Amen. I love that. I love that. So, do you have, I know this isn't evergreen people, and I know you, but I also know that you're going to be doing these Wi-Fi detox
Yeah.
periodically. So I know you got one coming up now,
Yeah.
in just a bit. If you want to give the date on that, that'd be great. And then
Yeah.
also, if there's a website or something like that that people can go and check you out.
Yeah, we're still working on the website, just because it's kind of like changing. But I'm hosting a workshop actually right whenever I get off with you at 1 o'clock. So I'll give
Yeah.
you the link so you can share that. And then the program that I'm wanting to start, I really want to start something in April. I haven't decided the length of the program and everything really that it's entailing. It's just kind of coming out as I'm figuring things out.
Yes.
Um, it might be like a year-long program where we just really like dig deep and tackle and try to figure it out. So that's my goal. That's
Yeah.
my mission. As far as the summits, the little symposiums, they'll be happening every few months or so, and everything's just gonna grow on top of it. So if you attend one, then the next one you're just gonna learn even more, you
More.
know. So
Awesome. Awesome. So how can they find you maybe on Facebook? And
yeah,
I tell
Facebook
you what, you send
or
me the link
yeah, or
to your
Instagram, Amy J.
yeah,
McGraw.
yeah. And give me your links and I'll make sure I put them in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. And
episode
if
here.
anyone wants
Yeah.
to schedule a call with me too and see like if you want to be a part of this program that I'll be creating, I'll give you my calendar link and
Yeah.
we can schedule a call
Yeah.
just to talk about
Yeah.
what's going on with you and see if we can figure it out, you know.
Yes.
Because I had
That's what
so
I
many
love about
doctors.
you, Amy. You were like, there's a problem. I'm better. We need to solve it. You're like, all that other stuff, when I get a website, I get a website. Right now, I need to help people. That's
I need
Amy.
to figure it out.
This is why you need to tune in and to follow Amy and see what she's up to, because she's just that kind of person. It really is people first with you is been my experience of you. It's people first, care first, and all the
Yes.
tools and all that stuff later. We just got people to take care of, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, I
Figure
love
it out.
that.
I'm on a
So
mission.
yes, I know you're on a mission. This is why I'm like, I love this. So I am personally going to start my own little Wi-Fi detoxing. I love what you're saying. I didn't even know because I have a habit of having my phone plugged up. My battery
Yeah.
hasn't worked well in so long, so I have it plugged up and I'm using it throughout the day. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Same
yeah.
thing like with your laptop. If you're like, if the battery runs to a certain amount, I'll turn it off, turn my Wi-Fi off, all that stuff, and then charge it while I'm not using it. Because whenever your battery starts to drain, it's pumping more radiation out so that it can try to get a signal.
Mm.
So try to really not let your battery on any device go all the way down, because that's when it's the strongest frequency. And then,
Mm.
yeah, don't use it while it's plugged in. Plug it
Okay.
in, let it charge, and then come back to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for
so much
being
for
here.
having
Yeah,
me.
yeah, I love it. And until next time, you guys,
Yes.
thank you so much for being here. And look at Miss Amy. She's standing, she's walking, doing everything that she needs to do. There is a God in heaven, because this young lady is well and on her feet, and she's on a mission to help as many people as she can recover in any way that they can from this Wi-Fi overload that we have going on in our society. So I'll have the information about Amy somewhere in the video, underneath the video, when it's time. But until then, you guys make it a great day and make it a great life. Thank you.